Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in to Postgame Live with Chad Brown and Kristin Brown.
Hello.
And we come to you after a Broncos 19-3 victory. Gives the Broncos the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs, yet leaves, I think, all Bronco fans desiring a bit more. And I can tell by your smile you're having some thoughts over there already.
I am, because I'm a bright sider.
Uh-huh.
So I want to celebrate the fact that we clinched this thing.
Okay.
And we get a whole lot of time before our next game.
Mm-hmm.
And this, you taught me this.
Okay.
Saving your best football for the end,
Okay.
right? So I'm wondering if some of our play today, let me know your thoughts, because we didn't get to watch the game together. So all my questions will happen here.
Mm-hmm.
Was some of that held back, right? Like, did we hold back some of our best football for 10 days from now? Or did we literally put it all out there? Because we could play these people again with Herbert, how do you say it?
Herbert, Justin Herbert.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So should we show them everything? We played them before earlier,
Mhm.
and they beat us.
Okay, well, I mean, they're a division foe. So you're going to hold back something. These teams know each other really well.
Yeah.
Sean Payton's been coaching the league for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's got this secret part of his playbook that no one's ever seen before. He's put it all out there. If you watch enough Sean Payton tape, because there's plenty of Sean Payton on tape,
Yeah.
you get a sense of what his offensive style is and the plays he likes to run. Of course, every week there'll be some subtle tweaks that we haven't seen that play from that formation.
Mm.
We haven't seen that play go to the tight end. It's typically been the fullback.
Mm-hmm.
But Sean Payton doesn't have this secret part of his playbook, but he's holding back, if that makes sense to you.
It does, but like more so holding back how he uses his players. Like in the beginning, we saw some bow runs, and I liked it. But if we keep that up, they're going to be so ready for the bow runs. I don't know. Am I talking myself into?
No. Okay, here's my thoughts.
Okay.
It became pretty clear in that game that Trey Lance, the quarterback for the Chargers,
Yes.
was not going to be able to lead his team to a multiple touchdown game.
Yes.
And he wasn't,
Right.
particularly against his Broncos defense.
Right.
So at that point, if you're Sean Payton, do you continue to try to get your offense to improve to some arbitrary standard? They got to get better because this is going to be the playoffs in 2 weeks. Or do you just say, you know what, we're going to find a way to win, and we'll just worry about that other thing down the road? Because we're not going to fix all the issues today,
Right,
if that
right.
makes sense. So they would mirror what we've seen really the second half of the season from them. We're just going to do enough to win.
Right.
And we'll try to get better. We'll try to improve. But more important than this elusive improvement, whatever that means,
Mm-hmm.
or this beauty contest of a victory,
Mm-hmm.
we'll just take the victory. That's good enough.
Yeah, almost like a preseason game. We're
Mhm.
going to work on some things, and the goal is to win, but the goal's not to put it all out there on display. I mean, the Chargers didn't even seem like they came to win, right? They put in. Now, tell me why Herbert didn't play.
Okay, so a lot of the Chargers players are banged up.
Right,
Justin Herbert in particular.
right.
And they lost their starting left tackle during this season. He came back for a game or two, and then he was lost for the rest of the season. Their right tackle was lost during training camp.
Okay,
So he's been without those guys. Their offensive line's been suffering. Therefore,
Okay.
Justin Herbert gets hit all the time.
okay.
I think he's been sacked 5 times, maybe in the last 6 or 7 games. Not every single game,
Okay,
but at least 4 of those 5 or 6 or 7 games, he's been sacked at least 5 times.
okay.
So he's banged up. He
Okay.
needed the weekend off. Their best defensive
Fair.
player, Derwin James,
Mhm.
has been banged up.
Okay,
So they got a lot of guys who they thought it was far better to rest instead of trying to get some momentum going into the playoffs. At least we can be healthy going into the playoffs. So that's why they sat all those guys.
should we be offended by that?
No, none offense taken.
Okay.
It wasn't. Did Harbaugh think that Trey Lance was suddenly going to go out and defeat the Broncos. I think they accepted the defeat as part of the plan of losing. That it's fine. It doesn't really affect their playoff seeding much.
Okay.
They're in the playoffs no matter what, whether they won or lost this game.
Okay.
So let's rest guys. Let's come in as healthy as possible to give ourselves a chance.
Okay, so this game meant more to the Broncos than it meant to us, to them, the Chargers,
Yep.
because it's not going to change their seeding. So, yeah, preseason-ish, not at the same time. Because, I mean, you want to clinch the division. You want to, talk about all the advantages of what the Broncos gained by winning today.
Okay, so they get the bye week. Awesome.
That's a big deal.
They get all their playoff games will be at home.
Huge deal.
Outside the Super Bowl, of course,
Yes.
which will be in San Francisco, which, by the way, was the site of the last Broncos Super Bowl victory. So there's all those little weird coincidences floating around. All right, but
Okay.
so the bye and then the home field advantage. And as we've seen all year long, when the Broncos fans are at full throat,
Yeah.
as we like to say in the broadcasting terms,
Yeah.
it makes life very difficult for the opponent.
Yeah, we saw that today.
Now, I think the loudest the fans were today is when they were booing the Broncos offense.
Okay. Yes. Which is a problem. And we've talked to y'all about that before, right?
But okay, so just before you dive into your thing,
Okay.
the folks who are booing,
Yeah.
they're not booing because they hate the Broncos.
I know.
They're booing because the Broncos offense is not living up to the standard. Nick Bonito gets a sack, strips the ball. Broncos get excellent field position, and then nothing happens.
Nothing.
So I can see why the fans are upset. This offense has been underperforming all season. It's been inconsistent all season. Okay, you get this perfect opportunity, strip sack, recover fumble, short field. Let's get some points.
Yeah.
No,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Facts.
Okay.
Facts. And what's interesting is we have what do we have now? Like 67, 68 sacks? for the season?
Oh, gosh.
Something like that. A
Okay,
lot.
okay.
A lot. And how do we have all those sacks?
And no turnovers?
Well, we got a couple today, but not many turnovers. So we got to, Sean talked about we got to up the turnover game. So I'd love for you to talk about why that's important, especially going into the postseason. But even like our margins in winning, with having this dominating defense and all these sacks, getting good field position. So yeah, I can see why there's some booing happening. I'll admit to that.
Oh, even
I can see it.
Even Mrs. Bo Lever over here?
Yeah, but I don't agree with it though.
Okay.
Because if I'm struggling, don't boo me, people. Cheer me on.
Oh, okay. Do you think that would help?
Yeah, but stay loud. Stay loud when the Chargers offense is out. And that actually worked in our favor today as well. They got that delay of game. That was a win.
All right, so before we get to the comment from Alec, I just want to, again, so the home field advantage thing.
Yes.
So the Broncos pass rush, they're really good because they get off the ball so quickly. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Jonah Ellis, all those guys that get off the ball. Even Jaquan McMillan when he gets involved as a blitzing defensive back, they get off the ball so quick.
Yes.
It's very difficult for the opposing offensive line to hear their quarterback snap count with all that crowd noise.
Yes.
So the home field advantage is more, or the number one seed is just more than just getting the bye. There's a real honest home field advantage to playing in that stadium with that crowd, plus the altitude thing, which we've talked about on this podcast before. Having played there so many times as a Steeler, as a Patriot, and particularly as a Seahawk, because once upon a time the Seahawks were in the AFC West in the same division. So we played the Broncos twice a year,
Yes.
played there constantly.
Yes.
And despite me living there in the offseason, despite me training there in the offseason, my lungs would burn like nobody's business coming back and playing there. So that's a huge advantage for this
Yeah.
home field advantage and getting the number one seed. So again, if you're Sean Payton, do you take the number one seed? Do you take the win? Or do you try to win some weird beauty contest that you can never actually win? You can never score enough points for the fans. It can never be a pretty enough win for the fans.
Yeah. So I think, would love for the fans to be, saying all these wonderful things, but he just had to win the way he felt like he had to win today, knowing we might play this team again with more starters. So we can't show them. I mean, we show them like a little hint, right? You got on a beautiful dress, but there's only a small slit, right? You're not showing everything. You're holding some back, right?
So Sean Payton didn't go full hoochie mama.
No.
He went classy and sophisticated today.
That sounds like a really weird way to put it. And I know I started it. But, I mean, there's got to be something to make him come back for, right? You got to hold a little something back. I'm kind of believing, y'all let me know if you agree with me. I'm kind of believing he held something back today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's pull up Alex's comment. Put that back on the screen there. I think it's Jesse back there in the studio. I'll just read it while Jesse gets it pulled up. Nick is not the answer. His downfield vision sucks. It's not Nick. Nick's is not the answer because
Right.
Alec and Nick's. Okay.
Right.
So his downfield vision sucks.
Oh, we've got someone co-signing as well.
Yes.
Okay.
and we've got Eric Edwards who says he agrees. So there's lots of folks who are not feeling so good about Bo Nix. I don't think just this game, but I think it's probably an indictment on the entire year.
Yeah.
And the offense not having consistency, not having enough to put a full 4 quarters together. Outside of the Green Bay game, this offense has yet to put a full 4 quarters together. And that we consistently play down to the level of our opponent. This was the 5th Bronco game this year where they faced a backup quarterback. And we saw on Christmas Day, the Chiefs had their 3rd string quarterback in the game, and that was a 1-score game. Yeah. And again, there's something to be said for winning. You don't apologize for your schedule, who you play. Right. But certainly, you would think if this is going to be a repeat of 2015 with the end of the season ending in a Super Bowl championship, that this offense would find more consistency. That Bo Nix would be a more consistent down the field passer, to Alex's point.
Okay, so I hear all of that, and there's lots of it I agree with. But our opening drive was beautiful.
Okay.
I mean, Bo had some running happening. He had a little Peyton-ish kind of motion where he'd run and do like a little pump fake, and then getting these big runs and getting first downs. We owned the clock that first quarter. It was beautiful. Fell apart in the red zone.
Yes.
That's a problem for sure.
Touchdowns, not field goals. Touchdowns, not field goals.
Right. I mean, we need our special teams to be able to bring it, but this is a big problem. Big problem. I mean, defense is really what kept us in that game today, for sure.
Okay. I can't go any further without addressing the fact that our Christmas tree is still up.
And it will be up until after the Super Bowl.
Yes.
That's how I roll.
Yes. We put the Christmas tree up late, but then it stays up incredibly late. So if we choose this same spot to broadcast from again in 2 weeks, this tree will still be up.
If it's not Valentine's Day, just know I'm celebrating all the lights. I love it.
All right. So go to Ray Montez, 3212. This team reminds me of the 13-3 Broncos team that lost to Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship in 2005. I believe the warning signs have been there all season, and they will show in the postseason with an L. Okay, so this is I was a bit late getting to this podcast because I was on ESPN Radio today, and so I did my 3 hours, hopped on this with you guys. But as part of ESPN Radio, we had a chance to talk to Sal Paolantonio, well-known, longtime NFL personality for ESPN. And one of my questions to Sal during the halftime of this Broncos game was, did the Broncos play down to the level of their opponent, or are they just not as good as we would like to think that they are? And so Sal took a long roundabout way to get there, but in the end, he said it was B. His answer was B. They're overrated and they're not as good as people think they are. And so to Ray's point and to Sal Paolantonio's point and to the conversations you and I have had in stadiums around the country when we do games, people don't believe in the Broncos for these things, for valid reasons. It's not just like they're Bronco haters. They actually can point to things. You don't turn the ball over enough on defense. The offense is too inconsistent. Bo Nix has poor downfield vision, as we saw from Alec earlier. So all these things.
We're not scoring in the red zone.
Not scoring, getting field goals, not touchdowns. So all these things, yet you remain a Bo leaver. So tell me why conventional football wisdom does not apply to this football team.
Because it hasn't.
Right.
I mean, because right now, what are they, 13-3?
Yes. 14-3.
14-3. Okay, right? Like, It's been a crazy season of a whole lot of winning.
Mhm.
Not flashy, not like dominating and dynamic, but there's been a whole lot of winning. So I keep believing they're going to win. Not the way I think I would want them to win, with a little more comfort, but I love that they're keeping the fans there until the end.
Giving the fans their money's worth. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
and they can help with that crowd noise and delay of games and things like that. But that is why I am still believing, because they just keep achieving the W over the L.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But what do you say when it's not the Raiders in 2-1 score games against them, and it's not the Chiefs with their backup quarterback? Even with Patrick Mahomes, it was a 1-score game against them.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs have clearly had a down year.
Yeah.
This Chargers game wasn't a 1-score game
Yeah.
because the Chargers didn't play most of their starters.
Right. Right.
So you've seen the deficiencies.
Yeah.
You've seen the struggle against some teams that are not playoff caliber teams.
Yeah.
So what makes you, when looking at the AFC playoff picture really quick here, we got the Chargers, the Patriots, the Bills, the Jags, the Texans, and the Steelers or the Ravens, which will be determined here in the next couple of hours.
Okay.
The Texans, Broncos beat, but the Texans had their backup quarterback. That's one of those 5 games the Broncos played a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay. The Jags, they whooped up on the Broncos.
Yeah.
Got them pretty good.
I'm trying not to see them again.
Yeah. The Bills are Josh Allen. Josh Allen's pretty darn good.
Okay.
Patriots, their quarterback Drake May end up being MVP.
May.
And Mike Vrabel may end up being coach of the year.
May.
Okay. And the Chargers, we saw them today, but we didn't see who the Chargers really are. And when the Chargers were who they really were, that was one of the losses for the Broncos.
Well, and at this point in the season, a lot of injuries are happening across the board. We saw players go down today. Thankfully, our player came back, our guard. But not everyone's going to come back. And sometimes you just got to play with what you got. And I feel like we still have enough to keep getting W's. Crazy, miraculously, keep getting W's.
Okay. It was great for Garrett Bowles to come back into the game because that was a major concern.
Deal. Yeah.
We saw the center, Alex Forsythe, go down early in the game. He was able to come back into the game, but that's got to be a concern because we've already on a backup center. I know Ben Powers is back at guard, but to lose either one of those guys, Forsythe or Garrett Bowles, would be a major loss.
Major.
For this offensive line.
Yeah.
P.J. Locke got banged up, who was already a backup safety in the game. So Devin Key came in and was towards the top of the Broncos team in tackles. But if it's a playoff game, the opposing quarterback, those quarterbacks who were playing for the teams I just listed,
Yeah.
they're going to be able to target Devin Key. Trey Lance was just trying to keep alive.
Right.
But Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be able to target Devin Key.
Yeah.
Drake May is going to be able to target Devin Key. Justin
Yeah.
Herbert is going to be able to target Devin. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these folks on the text line and these folks who we've heard from who don't share your same belief, I'm not trying to bring you down. I see your smile's not as big as it was when we started the podcast.
Let me bring it back. I'll
Bring it back. Okay. Let's see if we've got any other good comments here. Okay. They did a much better job on penalties today. No Moss, defensive pass interference. That was big. That was huge. Thank you.
That was absolutely huge because I do think that was the one strategy they tried to give to, what was his name, Lance?
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. I think that was their one thing. They were throwing out those big, long passes, trying to draw the flag.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, shoot. Are they going to, but they didn't. We played clean, and that was a beautiful thing because that would have gotten them at least close enough to get field goals.
Okay.
And it had been a closer match game. So that was a win. We cleaned that up.
And that has actually gotten better. And the Broncos have been several weeks away, not several, but a few weeks away from being the most penalized from a penalties called and also from a yardage standpoint. They've been improving in that. And so today was a step in the right direction because that was another thing that says conventional football wisdom. You can't be the most penalized team in the league and win a Super Bowl.
Right.
You can't beat these playoff teams if you have the most penalty yards in the league. So at least they're finding ways to improve on that. What did you think about the back and forth between Bo Nix and Sean Payton on the sideline? Yeah, did you see that?
I did.
Okay.
And Bo's not going to tell us.
No, he's going to take the high road.
Sean might give us a little something. So I'm curious to hear what BK is going to say when he comes on. And it made me really question play calling if they're just not succinct and on the same page. Because I don't know how, I didn't feel so great about a lot of the play calling, especially in the red zone. How about you?
I thought once it became clear that Trey Lance couldn't move the ball, Sean just went pretty conservative and thought, well, why risk it? Because I wanted my offense to get into a rhythm. I want to feel better about us at the last game of the season before we go into the bye. All those wants.
Right.
But at the same time, he was staring at an opponent that really did not ever threaten to score a touchdown in this game. They took a couple of shots to the back of the end zone late in the game, which would have made the score look better. But really, anybody who watched this game would know the Chargers offense had no rhythm, and that was really based off the Broncos defense.
So that was one of the things that made me think about holding back. But then again, you still got to practice. And if this game is preseason-ish and it's practice, well, then let's score. Let's use the red zone. Let's get in there. Why are we moving so slow and throw? I love a slant pass. Not ever. Because it's a compressed field, right? Let's throw it to the side, all slow and delayed, and expect him not to get tackled. I feel like I could tackle him, right? It just took too long to unfold. And I feel like we've seen that a lot throughout the season. So that actually does concern me, but I'm hoping it will also concern them. And over these next 10 days, they'll figure out a new way to get in there. Okay. Because that's the problem.
Okay. Now, Sean Payton talked all week about, trying to approach this like a playoff game.
Yeah.
Because if they lost this game, there was a scenario where they would not be the number one seed.
Right.
So they had to approach it as a must-win game. Did you see a team that displayed a must-win passion and intensity and attitude?
I saw that in the defense. I feel like I saw that for sure in the defense. Offensively, I felt confused by the play calling. Why aren't we playing with more dynamic, more gusto, more just how we've seen them do? They have these flashes of lightnings, and then it's like, soft rain or something. I don't know if that's a good analogy or bad analogy. It was a word picture, if you can see what I'm saying. So it felt like, let's just win. We're going to win. We don't have to do anything flashy. We don't have to show all our cards. We don't have to invite them in and show them the treasures, right? They can just stand at the front door, and we'll just win this thing softly.
A soft win. But that's not a playoff intensity. Soft.
Yeah.
It's not what again, if Sean Payton's saying we're going to approach this like a playoff game, that was a very uninspired playoff game performance against an undermanned Chargers team.
I wonder if he pivoted with how he play called because they were doing so well defensively. They knew Lance isn't going to really do anything.
They did.
So let's hold back. In our mind, it's a playoff game, needs to be treated as such. The fans treated it as such.
Expectations were high.
Yeah. And
as they should be.
I mean, apparently he just had a birthday. His daughter just got married. It's been a pretty exciting time. But it did feel like as exciting as I think we would want it to feel, and probably the fans would want it to feel going into the postseason. I think we'd want to see crush them, blow them out the water.
Okay. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Go into the playoffs with as much momentum as possible.
Yeah.
Brandon Krisztal will be joining us. He's obviously in the Broncos locker room, getting a chance to talk to the players and the coaches and hear the press conferences. So he'll be joining us here shortly, giving all us that insight. What they actually saying, what's the feeling come? I mean, you get the T-shirts and get the hats, which are great. You go into the locker room after the game, and there's a T-shirt and there's a hat sitting on your stool in your locker.
Yeah.
AFC champs, number one seed, number one team in the AFC. But is it a celebratory Broncos locker room, or is it business as usual? We found a way to get it done, or are they like, oh man, once again we didn't reach the beauty contest levels that we thought we should, or folks expect of us, or they just can they put that aside? Are they completely stoked with this victory? Or in their heart of hearts knowing we got to find a way to get better because this shit's going to catch up with us?
Well, I'm sure some people are stoked with the victory because they know they left it all on the field.
Okay.
Like when we were with the Seahawks and we would lose, the kids would be like, "Did Daddy lose?" I'd be like, "Daddy did not lose, by the way. Seahawks lost, but Daddy didn't lose." Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yes.
So I'm sure there's some players out there today who feel excited about their performance, excited about the victory. Yes, because of what it means. Excited about how they achieved the victory. Probably not as much so because of the lackluster. And offensively, I would imagine Bo's disappointed. There were certain passes that should have been thrown better and could have been caught, could have led to points that didn't happen. So I would imagine he's disappointed. He looked disappointed during the game. So I would imagine when BK comes on, he tells us a little bit about that press conference. It'll be interesting to hear what Bo says, but I'm sure he would have liked to perform a lot better. And yeah, the Chargers were the underdog, right?
13 and a half points.
Yeah. But the Broncos are still looking for more than just me and his mama and some other people, plenty probably, but probably not as much, to really be Bo leaving, which I still am. So don't get confused there. But the performance that would get people to stop naysaying, I am sure there's a big desire for that, because these wins are all, oh, it's tainted. It was one score. It was this, it was that. But that gives you that chip on the shoulder, which sometimes that can work in your advantage.
I just gotta hug you, because you are just such a bright sider. It is just, you list all these negatives, but it could put a chip on your shoulder and it could motivate you. It's just so beautiful, your heart. I mean, the folks who are poking holes in this Broncos win or this Broncos football team, Bo Nix was 14 and 23, 141 yards passing today.
Not good.
That's not good enough. No touchdowns. Sacked 4 times today. The Chargers were getting after Bo Nix, and this is supposed to be one of the best blocking offensive lines in all of football.
Okay.
And so the Chargers exposed that offensive line a bit today. Bo Nix, once again, was your leading rusher. We talked about how that can't be repeated. Again, conventional football wisdom says you're not going to go on a playoff run if your quarterback's your leading rusher.
No, because they're going to try to take him out.
Right, and your quarterback's not Michael Vick or someone like that.
Yeah.
So, again, there's a lot to be desired as far as this Broncos offensive performance.
Wasn't their average yards like 3 or 4? I mean, it was really low.
3.7 yards per rush
Yeah.
was the average out there today. So not good enough.
And then for those sacks, because they haven't been getting like a ton of sacks, the Chargers.
Correct.
But to get 4 today, was that Bo holding the ball too long? Was it because of the play call that just wasn't unfolding as it should? Was it because he is not allowed to check out of the play and do something different? Was it the line? What was it that had him being sacked? Was it too much under center, too much shotgun? I don't know.
I think the Chargers exposed this Broncos offensive line a bit.
Okay. The weak link or the several weak links? Or what?
They were just able to continually get pressure in a number of different ways.
Okay.
Sometimes it was just one-on-one beating the guy. Sometimes they were able to win some pass rush games.
Okay.
Sometimes it was the blitz of bringing 5 or 6 guys. So even more than just the 4 sacks, they got a number of quarterback hits as well and affected both. And so
Pressures, hurries,
all that.
all of it.
So this team, if that's going to be the case, where somebody's got a good pass rush and a good pass rush plan, then obviously you'd love to be able to run the football.
Right.
And we don't run the ball well. So again, it's all this stuff, and I keep using the term conventional football wisdom, and I have to say that because folks like you who are believers are going to say, but we keep winning. And we do.
Both are true.
But conventional football wisdom says that's not going to be good enough. I'm looking at this comment from Mark Barnwell. Broncos losing the first round. Now, they won't lose in the first round because they got the bye.
Right.
But they'll lose in the first round for them.
Okay.
They'll
Mark,
lose,
you messed me up for a second.
they'll lose in the divisional round. The first round for them. Their first game out there.
Maybe not. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. And again, these teams who they are facing,
Yeah.
again, we've already lost to Jacksonville. That's a possibility. So I'm not sure of all the seeding, and so I'm not sure if they could possibly face Jacksonville in the division round. But the Patriots, Houston, Jacksonville, these are all very good quality football teams.
Yeah.
Who have the ability to pressure a quarterback and draw up a good defensive game plan and repeat what the Chargers were able to be successful at today in sacking Bo Nix 4 times.
That's wow. They did just get a little bit of a play sheet, right? Like, here's what you do to beat the line and get to Bo. Okay, so was Bo more under center or was he more shotgun? I don't recall that because I do remember he would get hurried, go down, have to get rid of the ball, get sacked, and we would be 2nd and 17, 2nd and 15, 2nd and 16. And that's a problem.
I did not mentally chart that today.
I forgot.
I was busy doing the the ESPN radio show.
Yeah.
So the game was on and I saw it most, but I didn't be able to, record all those kind of nuances in my head. So I can't say, but that was certainly a part of some of the more recent success for Bo was being under center more and the run game being a part of it more. But again, Sean really gave up on the run game in the first quarter.
Okay.
And so some of this, I would think he would be more determined in a playoff game, not just to get away from it, but to stick with it. Because again, the run game defensively, you can have success against someone's run game for 2 or 3 quarters of a football game.
Right.
But if they consistently put it out there and they don't ever get away from it, at some point, your running back breaks a tackle. And at some point, as a linebacker, I get tired of taking on this guard, every 3 or 4 plays. And so now those 2-yard runs are 4-yard runs. And then by the time the fourth quarter comes around, now you're cracking off 8 and 10 yarders, and you're beginning to control and dictate the pace of the game. But if you give up in the first quarter, you eliminate that possibility from ever actually happening.
Okay, that's interesting you say that because Sean said going in at halftime that they were shutting down the run game. And I was like, wait a minute, what? Because we were running a lot more in that first drive and it was great. So when he said that, I thought, what is he seeing? And my memory is a lot of shotgun formation. So he's already back there and then now he's running around because they're beating the line. They're coming with pressure over and over and over again. But I didn't see adjustments for that. So maybe that's another reason why Bo was frustrated, right? Because now he's scrambling around, trying to find someone open. He got a pass knocked down today. We hadn't seen that in a while. So that came back. And then so many losses. And, we weren't turning it over on 3rd down like we normally do. So that was a problem as well because I think we were kind of leading in turning over 3rd downs or converting 3rd downs, not turning over, converting 3rd downs. And we were struggling at that today after that opening drive.
Yeah. Even Denver's own Philip Lindsay, who could not be more of a hometown guy. This is a bad performance by this offense. No other way around it. So, I'm not making this up. It's not just a couple of folks on the text line. Folks are quite divided on the Broncos' playoff chances. Want them to win? Yes. Hope they're going to find a way to get it done? Yes. But again, conventional football wisdom says you can't do all those things and find a way to get the victory. Okay, from J-Dub Loop, can J.K. Dobbins please pick up a white courtesy phone? Yes. The lack of run game is an issue, majorly. And so we saw that emerge with J.K., but then he got the foot injury. Even if he comes back, is he going to be able to be the guy who he was when he was healthy?
Right.
So to think he's going to come back and save the run game by himself, I think he can pick up the phone. He can give it a great effort. But having had foot injuries in the past at a footwork intensive position like running back, it's hard to imagine he just comes back, tapes that shoe up, and it's just the same guy he was before he got banged up.
Wow. Again, good that we have 10 days.
Actually, more than that.
Okay.
2
How many
weeks.
days we have 2 full weeks?
Well, it could. I suppose.
Right, because
it could be next Saturday, so it may not be 2 full weeks, 13 days. Yes.
Okay. How much time off do they have to have? There's all these rules with time off now.
I'm not sure if there's a NFLPA mandated time off for the seeding for the number 1 seeds in the playoffs. You typically, your coach will give you a couple days off, but this should not be the time where guys want to take a quick trip down to Cabo.
No, don't do Cabo.
Or Cancun.
Stay out of Miami, Atlanta.
It's certainly infamous in NFL circles. The New York Giants receivers, Odell Beckham and all those guys, went down to Miami after a regular season win, went down to Miami, got pictured on the boat the next morning.
Oh, I remember
Clearly
that.
they had been out all night.
Yeah.
I think two of the guys actually had joints in their hand. If you look closely at the photo,
Okay.
they clearly had not been to sleep. And I don't think the Giants have had a winning season or had a playoff win since then. So hopefully the Broncos guys stay in town, watch some extra tape, get some extra rehab, lift some extra weights, do all the things that you should do when you are the number one seed to get an advantage, and don't go out of town and do something crazy.
Well, I would hope that after this kind of a win, right? It wasn't some kind of blowout win. You weren't dynamic. That would make you really go, we got to watch tape. We got to watch film. We've got to practice routes. We've got to do a lot of things, right? Because we're going to the playoffs, baby. The playoffs. You want to talk to me about the playoffs? I want to talk about the playoffs. So please don't lose in round one of the playoffs.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think that's a great point you bring up there. All right, so this regular season's now over.
Yeah.
14-3.
Yeah. Which is great. I
yes.
mean, those are wonderful numbers.
Coming to this game, 11 one-score wins.
Uh-huh.
Someone did
11 one-score wins.
which speaks to resilience, which speaks to your football character,
Mm-hmm.
which speaks to your sense of belief, which speaks to your ability to be cool and calm in the moment and execute in those very critical, anxiety-packed, pressure-packed moments.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
Now, someone else did a study this last week and was posted on social media, and I saw it. If you were to reverse all the one-score games for the Broncos, they would have been 4-12 coming into this game.
Well, if it was a fifth, they say we'd all be drunk. I don't know if you've ever heard. I'm from the South, y'all. You can't tell us what they said back then.
Okay, but so by all accounts, a successful regular season. But the
Right.
regular season, in the end, is just to give you an opportunity to get into the playoffs.
Right. That's
And-
why we're here.
and you wanna get-
championships and playoffs.
And you want to go into the playoffs playing your best football.
Yes.
And so it's difficult to say that this is the Broncos' best football. It's difficult to say that they're going in with a ton of momentum,
Right.
fan excitement, belief, hopefulness,
Mm-hmm.
all those words. But momentum, I would say no.
Yeah.
Best football, I would say that's probably a definitive no as well.
Facts. Okay, I have to go back to what I said again a minute ago, or however many minutes ago, because I'm kind of feeling like this could have been important, right? Like what was it, a couple of weeks ago? I said it was not a loss; it was an opportunity.
Right.
This was a win and an opportunity, because if it had been, we just crushed them. We don't have anything to work on. Perhaps people are in Cancun. They're celebrating and a little too high on their horse and not ready. But if there's anything to know after this game is we won, yay. We get home field, that's an amazing advantage. We get the noise, we get the altitude, might get weather, who knows? But we don't have to travel. Those are big deals. We played a backup guy and it was not stellar, right? So we got a lot to work on so we can go through it. No one wants to get to the playoffs and lose. And then they've had so many naysayers, so many haters that I'm sure they'd love to shut down. And the only way to do that
Let's
is
get a win.
to go all the way. And at least half the way, but please go all the way. So perhaps this is how they needed to win. Not glamorously, but oh my,
But
we
we-
got a lot to work on in the next 2 weeks.
But we said this after the loss to Jacksonville. This is going to be the wake up moment. This is where they're going to wake up in the morning and look the man in the mirror and I got to do better. I got to play better. And John Payton talked about this week being a playoff game. So I hear what you're saying, and that is the proper mindset that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But we have yet to see that mindset take the football field
Yeah.
and put it together.
But I feel like we're going to see it, y'all, in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Or less, maybe 2 weeks minus one.
Okay. Oh, wow. So I don't even know how to say this username. C3DMS4S. Broncos offense looked like shit. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so a former broadcast partner of mine, Josh Dover, Field goals don't win playoff games. So I know it probably feels like we're piling on because if you came here hoping for some, fireworks and celebration and New Year's Day poppers, we don't have any of those, but we still have our Christmas tree up.
Christmas tree, yes.
Yes, so there is a little bit of celebration there. But yeah, I think this Bronco game it has finally taken the conversation that was national about this Broncos football team and brought it into Denver area where folks have been kind of poo-pooing or ignoring all that stuff on the outside in the past. They're now forced to confront it and where they come down on that.
Okay.
Because playing like shit, field goals won't win playoff games. These aren't folks, because folks were, that's national folks saying that. They don't believe in this football team. They don't believe in Sean Payton like we do. These are folks who are believers. Josh Dover, speaks in the cameras and microphones every day in Denver.
Yeah, facts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what did you see that was good today?
You found a way to win. And that's what I've said after all these games where you seemingly play down to the level of your opponent, where you gave your opponent too many chances, you didn't execute all your opportunities to the maximum fullest, but you still found a way to win. And in the end, when your record is what it is, people should not, or typically don't, go up and count all the one-score wins or one-point wins. Your record, they're 14-3. Right. That's an amazing record. Mm-hmm. You found a way to win 14 football games, and you did it so many different ways this year. 33-point fourth quarter against the Giants. The Raiders got the win today, but they're clearly the worst team in football.
Yeah.
But you've got 2 one-score wins against them. So even within, the review of the season and the record, you kind of go, that's not so good. And, I forgot about that. That wasn't really good. And, so today they got the win. I've said that many times, and that would be my biggest takeaway from today's game is they got the win.
Okay, well, I saw Bo's feet as a threat.
Which, okay, he did have a couple of nice runs, correct?
And then that seemed to go away. So I would like to see more of that. So I feel like the glimmer of what can be. And then I like what you said. They have found so many different ways to win.
Walk-off
so
field
maybe
goals,
they could bring
yes.
all those together and then win dynamically in 2 weeks.
Okay.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, again, if we're going to just, talk about conventional football wisdom, I think you take more away from a close win than you do from a blowout win.
Facts.
And you develop more of a collective belief from that about how we can do this. And, no matter what the situation, someone's going to find a way to step up. And this has certainly been the case this year. We've had walk-off field goals. We've had, a crucial fourth quarter sack on when the opposing team was looking like they were about to mount a drive. We've had Bo Nix in the offense execute in the last 2 minutes to get the win. So it's happened a number of different ways. A number of different guys have felt that collective belief and felt that team camaraderie. Someone's going to find a way to get it done. And it was my turn this time. And maybe it'll be my turn again. Everyone believed in me in these moments that I would get it done. So I use that collective belief to buoy myself and get another play done. That's awesome.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yes.
But conventional football wisdom also says you can't do that shit all the time.
Well, we talked about science a couple weeks back and neuroplasticity.
Okay.
So,
all right. But
all these ways to win.
From raw P&S, who gives about the naysayers? So
there you go.
yeah. So you and Raw Dog here on the same page.
I see you. Yeah. We're gonna see you in San Francisco. How about that? Okay. You know what? Scripted plays, right? So if that first quarter is a lot of scripted plays, and we were having more success on offense, why go away from that? Was that like Sean going, okay, I've seen enough. I don't want to show too much of our hand, right? So we'll go ahead and just play down a little bit because we know we can win against Lance and save that for a couple weeks. But that red zone thing, I'm still concerned about the red zone.
Yeah, again, I think you want to be efficient in the red zone, and so you're not holding back. You don't have some secret red zone play that you had kept in the corner of your playbook for 3 years that you're going to run in this certain circumstance. You get in the red zone, you want to score a touchdown. You want to walk away, if not with field goals.
Yeah.
But to your point, the scripted plays.
Yeah.
Those are the plays that you practice the most during the week.
Right.
Those are the plays that you go over in this case, Saturday night meeting at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And every coach, once they break up from that team meeting, they go to the individual meeting, says, this is the first 15. You guys got any questions on any of these plays here? And you go over them all, make sure everyone has all their questions answered, and we can hit the ground running when we call any of these plays.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the procedure on scripted plays. That's why
Okay.
those often have a higher level of success. But at some point, a game breaks out,
Okay.
and Sean's got to call the game organically.
Okay.
And he's got to call plays that maybe we only ran in practice once or twice. Maybe this play was something we ran early in the season and we've kept it in the playbook, but we haven't had a chance to practice it in a while. And maybe it's Pat Bryant on the field
Okay.
who was banged up the last time we ran this play because he missed a game to those hamstring pull.
Okay.
And so he's not exactly on the same page. So that's how things devolve from scripted success into actual gameplay.
Okay, so I didn't see where it needed to evolve quite yet. So I guess that's one of my questions. Because it almost seemed to me like adjustments were made after the first quarter. And I was like, that just feels weird. But if it's true that Sean is a little tricky one, doesn't want to show too much of his hand, maybe he saw what he needed to see. Then after that, he wanted to work on new things to see what he might need to work on during this bye week, right? To be ready for the postseason. Am I stretching?
Yes.
Am I just like
Yes, you are
grasping?
You're not rubber man, you are rubber woman over there. You are stretching quite far. But okay, I think again, as we talked about earlier in the podcast, and again, Brandon Kristoff will be joining us on the field there at the stadium after he has a chance to talk to Broncos coaches and players, hear the interviews at the press conferences, be in the locker room, get a general sense and mood of the football team. I'm super curious as well about how they are reacting after this game. So we'll dive into all that as soon as he's able to join us. But to go back to your thing there, Sean has done this so many times as a Bronco coach, and even going into halftime, talked about in the second half, we got to run the ball better. He's far too quick, in my opinion, to get away from the run game.
I agree.
And gets frustrated with it. And so I think that was a factor. We were running the ball, and outside of Bo Nix's scrambles, there was no real effectiveness to the run game.
There were a couple breakaways that I was impressed with.
And then, he just starts Xing those off his play sheet, and then we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then it became clear that the Chargers offense was not going to be able to score any points. Trey Lance leaves a lot to be desired as a starting quarterback, only his sixth start as an NFL quarterback.
And he didn't play much in college, right?
He didn't play much in college and has not played much as he's bounced around the league in a couple of different spots. So, Sean Payton, I don't think he called off the dogs, but he certainly was not aggressive with his play calling. And whenever a play had a risk-reward ratio, he went with the reward and did not dial up the risk very high.
Okay, do you think that's to keep everyone healthy? Since we're gonna win, we got to keep everyone healthy.
Well,
let's play safe.
I don't think coaches do that.
Okay.
I don't think they have some play sheet on their play call on their play sheet that says no one can get injured if we run this play. You know what I mean? I think the goal was to come out of this game healthy, obviously.
Right.
But I think he recognized that the only way the Chargers are going to score some points is if Bo Nix throws an interception, gives the Chargers offense a short field, or it ends up being an interception and run back for a touchdown. Or if I ask Bo to stay in the pocket too long and he gets sacked, stripped, fumbles, and somebody picks it up and runs it in the touchdown for the Chargers. That was really the only way they were going to score a touchdown today. So knowing that, then he dials down his risk-reward ratio on his play calling.
Safety.
Okay.
Yes,
not healthy, because that's different, because there's no healthy football player. Someone's always going to be at risk.
That's true. It's so aggressive. It really is. I mean, it's good.
Really?
It's aggressive.
It's an aggressive game, Kristin Brown?
Aggressive.
Yes.
I forget until I'm on the sideline. I'm just like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Just real quick, while we're waiting for BK and You want to tell some folks about any of our sheets post game?
Oh, goodness. Bloody. Like he just came back from war or something. I was like, I don't even know if we should have any sheets except white so I can bleach them. But then when you bleach sheets that have bloody because of all your wounds and you're sticking to them, oh, yeah, you just buy a lot of sheets. You just got to keep buying sheets. I was like, what is happening out there? You'd be like, oh, I got cut with this and cut with this. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So
It's a battle. It's a battle.
things are a little different now because they don't play on that old school turf. that I
Right,
played
because
on.
you would get cleats that would slash you up.
Yeah, so you're still going to get cleat marks, and you're going to open a wound, you hit somebody's helmet, and your skin's going to burst or whatever. But there's a lot of turf burns as well. So, yes, I ruined lots of sheets with the sheets sticking to me from all my oozing cuts and turf burns back in the day. But look at you. You survived, babe.
I did.
Look at you living in shit.
Living.
Yes.
Yes. They don't make them like me, but you know.
Okay. From 30 MS Super Strats. If the Broncos meet the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, do we have to thank Russell Wilson for setting the whole thing in motion?
Wow. I don't know if we thank Russell.
Why not? Why would you not thank Russell Wilson?
I feel like Russell costs us a lot of time and money.
So you think the Broncos would have already been in Super Bowls if it wouldn't been for the Russell Wilson time and money factor?
Oh, I like to future cast. I can't post cast. I mean, who knows what would have happened?
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's a great and very funny question.
Okay.
An interesting question.
All right. All right. From Quinn Hill, this goes to some of the things you've mentioned.
Okay.
I was hoping Sean was trying not to show his hand.
Mhm.
It's a real thing of, again, this game is won. Let's not do something dumb, give the opponent an easy score. And yeah, if I've got some things on this playbook that I haven't, on this play sheet that I haven't called, there's no point in just calling them because I put them on my play sheet. I can hold these back for upcoming playoff games.
Especially if we're going to see them again, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Eric Edwards says, I don't want Bo to be running a lot. That means the passing game and rushing aren't working. It's true.
Yeah.
And so Bo, we've got the concern of Bo putting himself at risk, although he's pretty talented runner. He tends to get down and slide. We got BK coming on. Is that what that said?
It said our camera got shut off. Huh.
Well, I think that was just briefly because we're
Okay.
back on now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
If someone can't see us, please let us know in the chat.
Technology.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Sean said he was holding his playoff playbook back. Also, what is the RK situation? We've got Jesse reaching out. Okay, your camera's shut off.
Okay. Can you see us? Someone let us know.
Okay. All right, he can still hear us, but he can't see us.
Got it.
Okay.
Let's see. It says everyone can see and hear you. Can
Okay.
anyone see us?
How about now, Jesse? Let me know. Shoot us a text. Okay, just audio still. Interesting.
Huh. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll log out. We'll hop back on. You guys may have to join the chat back in, but
Can
we'll
we do a refresh?
come back in.
Okay.
And there we are.
Yay.
Technology. But now we're reversed.
Oh.
I was on the other side before. Now you're on this side. Oh, all right. So yes,
Interesting.
switch browsers from Safari into Google Chrome, and now we're on opposite sides.
Okay.
All right. And to Eric's point, which we were trying to talk about before the camera shut off on us, I don't want Bo running a lot. That means the passing game and rushing isn't working. Yeah. So typically in these games where Bo Nix has been the leading rusher, it's because the run game obviously is not working. And he's forced to scramble and leave the pocket. And he was forced to scramble and leave the pocket today because the Chargers did a pretty good job against this Broncos offense. They got 4 sacks. They got multiple pressures and quarterback hits on them. And the Chargers defensive backs, which is one of the more opportune defensive back cores in the league as far as interceptions, did a pretty good job covering the Bronco receivers.
Yeah. Now, okay, I get that, right? You don't want them running too much because of what it says. But if this is who you're playing and this is what they're bringing and there's nothing available, or you got to try to force a pass, it's too hard, too fast, too high, too low, what have you, maybe just running it 5 yards, right?
Right.
I mean, you don't want to do that all the time, but if it's what you got to do, it's what you got to do.
Right. But I think to the texter's point, it's an indicator that other things aren't working well.
Yeah.
And so there are certain quarterbacks in this playoffs. Jalen Hurts for Philadelphia. He's certainly really good at picking up first downs if the passing opportunities are taken away. And so Bo Nix needs to be able to do that as well. Sounds like Brandon Castall is ready, so he'll be joining us soon. We'll get a chance to hear from him about what he saw, heard in that Broncos locker room post this 19-3 victory.
Hey, BK.
We got a BK coming on, Jesse. While they're efforting to get BK up, anything else you thought on your notes that you wanted to touch on?
You know, I was curious about our line and why it was having such a hard time today. I saw, Bowles, that's his name? Bowles?
No, Garrett Bowles.
Yeah, he went out, but he came back in. And they talked about how that's really a big deal when you lose your left guard.
Left tackle.
So if you have to lose.
Are you sure it's straight? It's not like tilted just a little?
You just got to lean one way or the other. Okay. All right.
Hi. What's up, guys?
Hey. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Happy New Year. Larry David has a thought that the 3rd is the last day you can say Happy New Year. But I think when you talk to somebody within a couple of days, we talk every week, this qualifies now. And even let's say you're going back to work or school, people will say that as well. So I think, you get a little more. I think Larry David was wrong by 4 days. I think you get to the 5th, depending on when school is, I think you get to your first day back at work, back at school, and then you're kind of done with it.
Yeah. Your first opportunity to see someone post New Year, but you don't do it 2 weeks later. Absolutely.
No, you're not. Yeah, you're not doing it at Valentine's. Like, hey, Happy New Year.
Right.
I say you do it all throughout January just because you want to be around.
Wow. Okay.
And of course, this is us with the Christmas tree still up. So there's that.
I took one down today. We have 2 more up. So gonna get that done when I get home. But want to talk to you guys about this game.
Yes.
How about that defense?
Yes, that would be the best part of it all. The Broncos pressure over and over on Trey Lance, Nick Bonito, sack and a half today. Broncos defense really stood up. But
Turnover.
But it's just unfortunate. It's not the big story. The big story is the Broncos offense. And judging from the text line, judging from what I saw on X, that national conversation of doubting the Broncos has now penetrated into Denver. And it's not just nationally, but locally, folks are being upset. And we heard boos during this game as well.
Yeah, and Bo Nix talked about it in his very last answer in his press conference, and we'll have a bunch of his comments up on all of our Guerilla social channels. And he said, and he used the line, "Hey, it's not the first time." He kind of ended, "It's not the first time I've been booed. It won't be the last." But he said he appreciates how passionate the fans are. He gets it. He doesn't think they're booing just him. Like, it's our entire offense. Like, it's not going great at times, and acknowledge that they certainly left points out there. We obviously saw the pick six. That's a touchdown, but the Bonito strip sack also leads to a short field. You have to settle for a field goal. I don't know, because I wasn't paying that close of attention to the rest of the AFC, but it feels like Will Lutz may get another AFC Special Teams Player of the Week award because he made 4 field goals and the 1 extra point. But the offense needs to be better. Obviously, losing Garrett Bowles for a little bit. Forsythe gets banged up early, right, just for a second, but he finishes the game, so that's good. Bowles comes back. Bowles certainly has a habit of dramatic exits and then triumphant returns. We've seen that throughout his entire career. He was carted off here in week 1 early in his career and started the next week in Buffalo. He was carted off at training camp, was at practice the next day. And then today he goes into the blue medical tent and then into the locker room, comes out, misses the first 2 snaps and plays the rest of the second half. But they have to be more consistent running the football. That was almost non-existent today. They obviously have to be sharper in their passing game. At the same time, similar to what we saw against Kansas City, they weren't really trying to take too many shots down the field. I think one of the guys in the press box said they looked at the advanced analytics and that his average attempt was 2.7 yards in terms of where I understand that it was 4.7 or something was what it said, but the advanced number said it was 2.7. So whatever that means, maybe it's because of where he was behind the line of scrimmage or whatever. Point being, they weren't trying to beat the Chargers over the top. They were trying to do exactly, I think, what they did against Kansas City, which is just don't hurt themselves. And there weren't any turnovers by the offense. But yeah, you do want to see them punch it in, obviously, especially when they're in the red zone.
Okay, leaving this game, what would your biggest issue, your biggest concern? Would it be the lack of red zone offense? Would it be the lack of run game? If you had to be specific on one of those details.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, I don't think it's red zone offense in general because they've been one of the best red zone teams all year, and they have found a way to punch it in. You guys were talking about Bo running the ball. Sean Payton was the one that told us during the Kansas City game, he went to Bo and Davis Webb, who are together on the sideline, and said, hey, I think there's opportunities to run. Because I go back to the Jets game in London where it felt like Bo passed up a couple runs. I asked Sean specifically, hey, do you talk to Bo about when he should and shouldn't run? He said he never talks to him about it, that he trusts Bo to make the right play. And he always has his eyes downfield, and he thinks he can get the ball where he's throwing it. So Sean says he never says that, which makes the comment in Kansas City, I think, that much more telling, that he did say, hey, he wasn't like, we need to run it here. Or obviously when they've called those quarterback draws, and those have been a couple of effective plays in the red zone inside the 10-yard line and 6-yard line, where he's had a couple of runs here in recent weeks for scores. But that's Sean saying this is a run play versus you get out, you're looking for a play. There's plays to be made with your legs. Just go make them. And I think in the playoffs, you will see that more, only because the playoffs are just about winning the game by 1 point. It's not about style points. It's not about anything. And so I think that Bo, in an effort to extend drives, I still think he's going to maybe take shots down the field. At times you think, oh, it's 4th and 3. Why are you taking a deep shot to Cortland or Troy Franklin down the sideline? That's still who Bo is. And that's the gunslinger thing that I think you have to take the good with the bad. When it works, it works. And when it doesn't, you're punting the ball on 4th down, or you're turning the ball over at the line of scrimmage, I guess, if it's on 4th down. So I'm not as worried about the red zone. J.K. Dobbins, I guess, was caught pregame. Somebody said, hey, will you be back for the Super Bowl? He goes, no, before that. Okay. J.K. Dobbins certainly would be a boost. I don't know if he'll be ready to go by January 17th or 18th, but if he is, that's certainly a good thing. We've seen a lot of good things from Harvey, but I think it's a commitment to the run. Having Ben Powers back healthy now and caught a little bit of Ben postgame was at his locker, and he said he felt really good and he went 21 plays against the Jaguars, and then went 40 something plays against the Chiefs. And now 10 days later plays a full game at left guard. So I think that there has to be that commitment to the run. And so that's my biggest concern. Not that you need to run the ball exclusively in the playoffs, but you have to keep defenses honest, and you have to get to 3rd and manageable. You can't be dealing with 3rd and 8 all day because you ran it on 1st down, you're incomplete on 2nd down, and then you're 3rd and 8, or you're incomplete on 1st down, you run it for 1.5 yards on 2nd down, and you're 3rd and 8. So I think that they're going to have to stay committed to running the ball. I think we'll continue to see them figure out ways to try to sneak Jaleel McLaughlin in when at least until Dobbins is ready. I don't think they're going to hand the ball to Bidet too much. And we know that they are going to hand it to Marvin Mims some. And I think having Marvin Mims in the backfield and out there just keeps the defense on edge because of the gadgetry that you can see there. And I do think we're going to see Bo run it more. I understand it exposes him to potential hits, but this is the playoffs, and you want your quarterbacks to go make plays with their legs if that's what they need to do to keep drives alive.
Absolutely. Okay, so my question is the locker room. How are they celebrating or approaching this victory? How do they feel about it?
This is maybe the good thing about someone like Sean Payton, who becomes just the 5th coach, I heard, to take 2 teams, to be a number 1 seed. Sean said he didn't know that. It was the first time he heard that. He knows no other coach has won 2 Super Bowls. And so thinking about who the other coaches were that were number 1 seeds, off the top of my head, I got to think Andy Reid's one of them. Probably John Fox is one of them. Mike Holmgren might be one of them. We can come with, maybe a couple more, but that feels like at least 3 of them without spending too much time. Dan Reeves maybe perhaps did it. And so that's what we're seeing, or maybe it was Parcells. I don't know. Either way, I don't think he did it though in Dallas or maybe in New England. Either way, that's unimportant. Point is, Sean has been here before, and he talked about, because he was asked about guys like Garrett Bowles and Cortland Sutton, who certainly haven't been here. Even some of these Broncos younger players that had a lot of college success, like a Pat Surtain, like the Ohio State guys, like, Jonathan Cooper, like a Nick Bonito, who obviously won a lot of games at OU. But for the 3, 4, 5 years they've been here, they haven't experienced this. So this is where having somebody like Sean, who expects to be here, is a good thing. But he mentioned guys like Hufanga, McGlinchey, Dre Greenlaw, guys that have been here, and that's just a few that come to mind. Evan Ingram, he's in year 9. He was in the playoffs a couple years ago with the Jaguars when they upset the Chargers, but he hasn't ever been a number 1 seed in his time in New York or in obviously in Jacksonville as well. And so the acting like you've been there before is part of it, but then also this is a goal. And I'd love to know where you come down on this, Chad and Kristin. Maybe this one's a little more for Chad, because Sean said it during the week and then said it again today. And then Nate Jackson and I went back and forth post game. Like, he said something in my ear because we always sit next to each other in the post game pressers. And then we talked about it for a couple minutes as I was getting all my stuff wrapped up to come talk to you guys. Sean says the biggest thing, at least in this case, is the way I take it. And he said it this week and again today. It's not about the bye and getting the rest. It's about playing one less game. And in a world where only 2 teams get that opportunity, they automatically get that bye. Nate's like, well, that's the same thing. And I look at a team like the Chargers that had to sit these guys today and had to use today as a bye for Herbert, for Khalil Mack, for Derwin James, for their entire O-line, for Amari and Hampton, that they need the rest. The Broncos don't necessarily need the rest. Yes, PJ Locke, we got to see what's going on there. Obviously, Garrett Bowles with his ankle. Getting the extra week means you can maybe get a J.K. Dobbins back. We know Brandon Jones isn't going to make it back, but they aren't as banged up as a lot of teams often are heading into the playoffs. And so in this instance specifically, it's, everyone else has to win 3 games in the AFC and 6 of those teams in the NFC, and only us in Seattle have to win 2 games, and they're both at home. And so the analogy I made was, say you're at a bar and you're playing pool or darts and you're in a tournament. If I get to jump around, I don't think I'm going to get hurt playing darts or pool, but that's just one less game that I may win or lose. And Nate's saying, no, that's the same thing because you might get banged up. I'm like, no, because everyone could come out of a game healthy. It's that you might just lose that game when you're healthy. And maybe I didn't finish that point with him. So I'm curious, do you think it's more important, Chad, and I know I'm not doing the best job of answering the locker room, other than I guess I'll finish that point, Kristin, to say, they know they're taking care of business. They get a couple days off. They're going to be back in the building midweek. They obviously need to be there for treatment. They'll be on the field, I think, maybe Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, they'll be off. Okay. So I don't think we're going to see guys jet into Vegas or Cabo or anything. I think you might see them around town at dinner at the mall or something, maybe returning some of their Christmas gifts. But the locker room was pretty measured. And so I think that's a good sign. But going back to my question, Chad, do you look at the bye being more important for the reason Nate kind of said, and most people think, you get the rest, or what I think Sean is saying, and I agree with him, it's just one less game to have to win. So you only have to win 2 games right out here, and I know that sounds easy to just say, but you're not getting on a plane, you're not playing that extra week. So, and as Bo said, and you get an extra playoff check, which I guess I didn't realize, they essentially get a playoff check for not playing next week.
Yeah, they do get that check. That's fantastic for them. Okay, I have always, from a player perspective, just a chance to get a little bit of rest, but you don't heal up in 1 week. Your body doesn't heal up until March or April anyway. So you may get a little bit of recovery time, but you're not healed at all. So the fact that you have to play one less game, that's one less opportunity to lose. It gives you a much better chance to get to the final prize. There's a reason why number 1 seeds, have a higher record chance of getting to the Super Bowl. So I certainly view it in your lens, not as much as Nate. But neither one of you guys are wrong either.
It's a good problem to have regardless. And I just think that knowing the last 2 times the Broncos went to the Super Bowl, and it's been a minute, but look at your old team in the Seahawks. They've been a number 1 seed 3 times, I believe, ever, and all 3 times went to the Super Bowl. Were you on the team that played against the Steelers in the Super Bowl, or had you already moved on by then?
That was my first year in New England.
Okay, it was your first year in New England. But either way, so that team with Matt Hasselbeck and company and plenty of your old teammates and Mike Holmgren leading them to the Super Bowl. And then obviously the 2 times that Pete Carroll got them there with Russell Wilson, Super Bowl, what was that, 48 and 49. They were the 1 seed in all 3 of those instances. It just makes it easier. The Broncos beat the Patriots here because as Chris Harris said to me on Friday, we didn't want to go to New England and play Tom Brady in December or in January rather. And they had to come here, and it made a difference. And so it's not that simple. The offense does need to find points. They're not going to win a game 19-3 in the playoffs where the other team's offense doesn't do anything. It's just not going to happen. But it also depends on who they play. You know, the Texans aren't a prolific offense. They're much better with C.J. Stroud, but they're not necessarily prolific. The Bills have flaws, certainly on defense. They don't have a home run hitter pass rusher. The Patriots, I don't think necessarily have that either. We know the Patriots offense has been really good. And then the Chargers, I think are maybe just a little too beat up. Doesn't mean they can't beat you. And then I don't believe in either of these teams tonight. Even though last check, the Ravens were leading. So I'm not trying to pick on your Steelers. I'm just saying neither of those teams scare me. The point is you get to do all of it right out here behind me. And that's ultimately the best part.
Okay, I want to go back to the locker room real quick. So I've been a part of a locker room where you have the number 1 seed. And after the game, you walk into the locker room, there's a T-shirt on your locker. There's a hat in your locker, you know, AFC champions, and the word number 1 AFC seed, all that stuff. Heck, when I was a Steeler, Mr. Rooney would have an envelope that he would put $200 in cash in it and say, "Take your family to dinner on me."
So, it's a salary cap violation, but that's fine. I'm not gonna turn him in. Rest in peace.
30 years ago, so I think we're okay. But it was a celebratory moment. And so to have the uneven performance of today, to juxtapose that with the reality of you just secured the number 1 seed, I mean, how was that mood? Was that locker room celebrating the number 1 seed? Or were they a bit down because of what took place on the field, the performance itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think the offense knows that they still have plenty of room for improvement. And so, and I think the defense wants to be as supportive as possible. And I asked Nick Bonito about that. You know, you guys have been relied upon so often. How good does it feel to know that your team can count on you? But then I asked Bo Nix, because I said, look, I've asked you probably, 12 times this year, and I've been at every post game except for the Chiefs game about the defense. So I did it again, and he obviously raved about what they could do. The offense knows that but going back to Benito, he's like, there were games like shootouts, like the Washington game, where we needed them. And certainly the Giants game, they, dug themselves that hole. They needed the offense to help them out. So we know that the offense has certainly shown it at times with the dominant performance over the Cowboys here. And so they have that club in their bag. It's just one of those things where they don't use it enough. And I know it's got to be maddening for Sean Payton, but I think Sean Payton knows it with a lot of time to prepare and a specific game plan for each opponent, who none of which that's what makes this playoff maybe more fun on both sides, on the AFC side and on the NFC side. I think that, again, the Ravens, they might, and you can tell me what the score is now, the Ravens might make it interesting, but in general, at least 5 to 6 of these teams on each side feel like they can not only go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. And, I've got a text chain with some friends that are in other parts of the country that all work in media. And they're like, can you really see Bo Nix or Sam Darnold hoisting a Lombardi trophy? And they're like, oh, I don't know, maybe not. But it's like, why not? With what these teams can do, and certainly what those 2 teams have on defense and some of the pieces they have on offense, I do think that it does feel wide open. And we saw what the Jags did out here. We know what the Texans are capable of, especially with that defense. We know how good Josh Allen is. But the locker room knows that they've got a great chance. And I got to give Sean Payton credit. He kind of touched on this on Monday, but I may circle back around if we talk to him again here before we see him. He said, this is one of the 5 or 6 teams that I've coached that I think has a chance to win the Super Bowl. As the number 1 seed, you now qualify as having a chance. And I think we might have talked about this at the last home game. And so they are there. They have a chance to win the Super Bowl. So he was right. But in the locker room, I think just in general, they got the AFC Championship T-shirts and hats hand-delivered to their locker during the week because they won it while sitting on the couch last weekend when the Texans beat the Chargers. They don't hand out number one seeds. But I did hear Jaquan McMillan said normally when they do Club Dub, today they took it up a notch and had a DJ actually in there playing music. And as Sean Payton was talking, we could hear the music. It went a little longer than it normally does. He went a little longer than he normally does in talking to us. And so I think that you're probably going to see guys out and about at dinner with their friends and family. I don't even know what Sunday nights look like anymore in Denver after a game. I'm a little removed from that scene, but we're not in Vegas, LA, New York, Chicago, Miami, places that have a vibrant nightlife, that there's always something going on, even on a Sunday, maybe even in Nashville, a place like that. But so I think that they're going to enjoy this, but I think they, and this is going back to the Sean Payton thing, just like he was asked earlier in the week. I think Cecil Lammey asked him about, do you have to talk to your guys? Did you have to do that in New Orleans about New Year's? And Sean famously, he said, I didn't even realize it was New Year's Eve. And so, but Cecil circled back around, and because he's like, I'm not going to call a team meeting or whatever. And he said, did you ever do that with your teams in New Orleans? And Sean said, not with the good ones. And so I think that this is one of his better teams, and they have the right leadership. And it seems like they have the right mix of young guys. Their top 3 rookies this year, all team captains. That doesn't mean those guys don't like to have fun, but they also understand responsibility. So you talk about Jahdae Barron and RJ Harvey and Pat Bryant, and we know that they're some of the leaders of that rookie class. I just don't think that being the number 1 seed is their ultimate goal. And they know that they need to get healthy, get whatever rest they can to heal up as best they can, and get focused on one of the, 4 teams that they could play next weekend, because we know that no matter what, they can't play the Pats or Jags or in 2 weekends, however it shakes out next weekend.
One game at a time.
Yeah.
Don't focus too far ahead. I love the extra time that they have. So there could be perhaps a little bit of healing, but certainly time to work on more things. The running game, completing passes, things of that nature. Because no matter who you play, those are things that they can spend this time working on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think so. And look, a couple of these teams they've played. The Texans, they prepared for CJ Stroud. He wasn't there, but they can go back to that. The Chargers, they've played twice. They're in their division. As Sean said, we have, more tape on the Chargers than certainly any other team they'll see. So I think they spend the week focusing a little bit more on whoever wins this Ravens or Steelers game, and the Bills, at least maybe in the early part of the week with what they're scouting and that advanced work. And then kind of circling back around a little on the Chargers and a little on the Texans, so that they're ready to go when Monday rolls around and guys are back in the building after getting the weekend off, so they can kind of hit the ground running and kind of have a game plan ready to go, especially as teams get eliminated Saturday and Sunday when we see how the schedule shakes out.
Yeah, in my experience, that those Wednesday and Thursday or Thursday and Friday practices, by that point, the coaches have put together a reel of, hey, this day is going to be, in this case, the Bills. And as we would watch and prepare for the Bills on Thursday, and then on Friday, we would prepare for the Ravens. And then so by the time the weekend was over, we got back to practice on Monday. It wasn't our first time watching tape on them. It wasn't the first time walking through some of their best plays and what we were going to do against them. So I would imagine Sean Payton will probably follow a similar formula. Just a little housekeeping note. The Ravens are beating the Steelers 10-3 with 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. And then Black Monday has already started here on Sunday. The Atlanta Falcons have fired Raheem Morris. That was a bit of a surprise.
But not GM Terry Fontenot yet, or we don't know?
Fontenot, he's also fired as well.
Okay. So they're cleaning house. They hired a consulting firm that's owned by one of the principal owners of Chelsea, not the main owner, but a guy named Mike Ford, who is one of the big owners of Chelsea Soccer Club, Chelsea FC, which we know is one of the biggest soccer clubs in the world. And we know that Matt Ryan is coming in to take a more prominent role. I have to think that Arthur Blank, we know he's not getting any younger, but he's had Rich McKay there kind of in charge for so long. And I think, I know this for a fact, that the kind of Rich McKay not wanting to cede any power, Terry Fontenot not wanting to have to maybe take a step back and deal with Bill Belichick being more in charge is what kept Bill Belichick from getting that job. But regardless, I'm guessing that Arthur Blank's at a point, maybe Rich McKay is ready to retire or ready to do less, that Matt Ryan may end up, I don't think he's going to be the team president right now, but they're bringing him in. And so I think it is going to be a clean slate. That's certainly interesting. I also saw earlier today where the Colts are keeping Shane Steichen as head coach and keeping Chris Ballard, that Carly Ursay Gordon who took over along with her sisters for her dad when Jim Irsay passed away. They saw enough good things despite losing 8 in a row or whatever it was. And we know Daniel Jones going down was a big part of that. But so those guys are safe. But so, yeah, Atlanta going it felt like Terry Fontenot was already maybe on his way out the door. He's been there 5 years and has, I think, hired 2 coaches, right? He's hired Arthur Smith, and I think he hired Raheem Morris, obviously, and kept Bill Belichick out of the building. That Atlanta is now open. You got to see with Carolina getting in after, well, did Atlanta held on to win today because of that Tyler Shook. So Tampa's out. Do they make a move there? We don't think they will with Todd Bowles, the head coach, or Jason Light. But yeah, it's not done yet. What happens in Arizona? Does Jonathan Gannon get a 4th year? Has Michael Bidwell seen enough there? Do they make a change at GM? They came in together a couple of years ago. Does Cliff Kingsbury, who I know is going to get some head coach looks, do the Commanders move on? Because there's talk that no matter what happens with Cliff's employment future as a head coach, that Dan Quinn and Cliff may not necessarily be jiving, which is interesting because those are both 2 head coaches I know a little bit, and Dan Quinn might be one of the nicest head coaches and people you ever meet. And Cliff, who we have a lot of mutual friends from Lubbock because he played with some guys I grew up with and some of their younger brothers. They both are good dudes, but sometimes it just doesn't work, not because one's an asshole to the other or vice versa or to the team, but they may just not always mix. And so what happens in DC there and what happens with Cliff Kingsbury let's say Vance Joseph, we know he's going to get some interviews here coming up midweek. That's another thing about getting the number 1 seed is Vance Joseph can interview this week. Any of the coaches coaching next weekend can't interview until next week, till Tuesday, Wednesday, like the 13th, 12th, whatever that is. That's the first day any of the now 12 teams coaches that are playing next weekend can interview. If you're out, Cliff Kingsbury can go interview tomorrow. Brian Daboll's been obviously fired. He could interview tomorrow. But Vance Joseph and maybe Clint Kubiak there in Seattle, maybe a Davis Webb, those guys will get to have virtual meetings, and all the meetings week 1 are virtual now. The league changed the in-person meetings, which I think put some guys at a disadvantage at times. But so VJ starting Wednesday can get on the Zoom with the Giants brass, with the Titans brass, now maybe with the Falcons brass, and we'll see what other jobs open up. But could Cliff Kingsbury, VJ work for Cliff? Could Cliff maybe be a possible OC candidate for VJ wherever he lands if Cliff doesn't get his own head coaching job?
Yeah, I know that VJ is on the list for the Giants. I'm sure he'll be doing an interview out there. It's going to be interesting to see what the Raiders do. Are they willing to pay a 4th coach to get rid of? That would be bananas if they move past Pete Carroll, but that's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, they already paid John Gruden. Chad, sorry to cut you off. I know that John Gruden, they're done paying him, but they would be paying both Pete Carroll and a 4th head coach if they make this change. And it does seem like they are inclined to make that change.
Yeah, so they'll be paying Josh McDaniels, Antonio Pierce, Pete Carroll, and then whoever the new coach is going to be.
But they did go from being worth $700 million to $7 billion now. So Mark Davis, and he took on Tom Brady and his ownership group partnership. So they got an influx of cash, plus the Las Vegas Aces make money, and we know that building's making a lot of money. Either way, nobody around here wants to see the Raiders do well, so they're happy to see them continue to recycle or cycle through coaches.
Well, it'll be interesting if VJ gets his opportunity there. So we'll figure that out down the road. But just to put a bow on this thing here today, bow used on purpose.
Oh, nice.
Well
a BO.
Yes,
I
yes,
like it.
yes.
I like it.
If someone would have told you the Broncos were going to be 14-3 back in August during training camp, what would you have said?
So I think, and just like you, I get interviewed all over the country talking to different national outlets or different local markets that want a Denver perspective. And I said I thought they were another, 10-11 win team, that I thought you'd see more from Bo, which we basically saw the exact same thing. And we need to go back and double check, but I think Bo and Case Keenum's 2018 season have the same amount of passing yards or close to it. Case might even have more in one less game. But we know Bo did a lot more with his legs, and the offense looked way different. And Case had 18 touchdowns and 15 picks to Bo's obviously much better ratio. But I thought 10-11 wins felt like where I thought they would end up. I said, with as good as the defense is, if they get to 13 or 14, and I said this lots of times, and I don't know if anybody has tape of it, that they could end up being the 1 seed. But that was based on exactly what happened. The Chiefs falling off, the Chargers getting banged up in this case, the Raiders being terrible, and then winning a bunch of games and surprising some folks, like the win at the Texans maybe, like the win at the Eagles, games like that, beating the Cowboys that we thought might have been a little better with what their firepower is. And also I thought Micah Parsons would still be a Cowboy at that point. So I wouldn't have bet on this. I certainly didn't bet on it in Vegas or on any of our favorite apps. It is a bit surprising, but as you know, Chad, and you've been a part of it, when you've got the best defense or, one of the 2 or 3 best defenses, you will be in every game as they are. And then when you get enough offense and you've got a really good head coach that knows how to win close games, then you're going to have a chance to win every game. And other than the Jacksonville game, which was obviously their toughest loss, the first 2 losses early in the year were games that they led the entire fourth quarter until the very end. And so they have now been battle tested. And I do think that they've surprised a lot of people. And even if you want to be critical of them, that's just ammunition they can use. Because like Bo said, no one's going to pick us again. Doesn't mean that they're definitely going to be the underdogs in 2 weeks when they host whomever in the divisional round. But in general, he knows there will be criticism of them. And that's okay, because then you can use that as potential, fuel to the fire.
It's interesting because you hear a lot of people blaming Bo, and then you hear a lot of people blaming coach. So you've got these 2 teams that are happening. But I can't.
The answer is probably somewhere in the middle. I think some of it's certainly on Sean. Some of it's been on Bo executing along with his teammates. They're second in the league in drops. The only team that drops more passes than them and has left more yards on the field is the Jaguars, believe it or not. And so you've got, 2 of the better young quarterbacks who certainly have put up some of the best records, not getting as much help as other teams get from their pass catchers.
Yeah, it's been an interesting season thus far.
Yeah, it's going to make for fun playoffs.
I think it's going to make for great playoffs. And I do believe the Broncos can go all the way to the Super Bowl. I mean, just why not believe that?
Yeah.
Even though they're finding ways.
We're going to believe.
Finding ways to win again and again and again.
Yeah. When Sean Payton talked about Super Bowl earlier this season, I thought it's a year or two too early.
Whoa.
And so I've
been here so long, it's now daytime. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. I still believe it may be a year or two too early. I think the best for this team is coming up. They've got to obviously have more consistency on offense and all that. And I think my eyes just tell me conventional football wisdom says you can't be underperforming offensively and be a true Super Bowl team. You can't have second most drop passes. You can't be third in penalties. You can't have the worst turnover margin in the NFL. And still be a Super Bowl team. So I think they will make a playoff run of some sorts, but I think the Super Bowl may be a step or 2 beyond them as they are currently constructed.
You may be 100% right, but those are all kind of correctable mistakes, right? Oftentimes penalties are mental errors. Even drop passes can be mental errors. And then, just the inconsistency, it all kind of ties together. But it's not that teams are going to show up and just beat their ass, if you will. They're not just going to knock them around. They're really good up front on offense. They've got, I think, good enough skill players, especially compared to the rest of the AFC field. And so I think because of that, it's an if, but if they can correct all those things, and the giveaway takeaway thing, when you give the ball away, that's certainly on you. And the fact that they haven't been able to take it away, as Sean reminded us again tonight, in the last 25 years, since 2000, the Rams just a couple of years ago are the only Super Bowl winner that were negative giveaway takeaway in the playoffs. There's been 6 teams, I think, all time, including the 2015 Broncos, that regular season gave it away more than they took it away. But as Chris Harrison and I talked about Friday, they gave it away 31 times, but took it away 27 times. The Broncos going into today had 9 interceptions and 3 fumble recoveries. So, but Bo only had 9 interceptions and they have, I think, 8 fumbles. So it's not like it's 30-12. It's 6, whatever that number is, 17-12. Either way, those are all kind of correctable.
Okay.
Correctable. I like that.
All right. Anything else you got to give us on this? It because the game was underwhelming, particularly offensively. This doesn't feel like this awesome historic moment, but it really is. The Broncos have secured the number 1 seed. They've got the bye. They've got home field for the playoffs. They put a 14-3 record, tying the 98 team with 14 wins in a season.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really an amazing day in Bronco history and Bronco country, but we're all a bit subdued because
Bo Nix 24 wins, ties Russell Wilson for most wins in the regular season in the first 2 years of your career. Now I get 16 games versus 17 games, so that's part of it. But in the world we live in, that's where we are, and so that can't be scoffed at either. And yeah, I think the best way to look at it is there's more good than bad. The things that are bad concern you, like you just touched on, all 3 of those key points. But if they can work out at least even a couple of them, you feel better about it. If they could clean up all of it, then maybe we're not just hanging out in San Francisco Super Bowl week. We're working a lot harder, having to cover a team getting ready for it and then cover the game itself. So I feel more good than bad. And I think that's how Broncos country should feel too.
All right. Well,
I agree.
I look forward to working in San Francisco and working beside you, my friend. So looking forward to that. Hopefully we can make that happen. Good stuff. Greg, thanks for all your thoughts and reports from the locker room. Once again, man, this has been awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Happy New Year to you both. And I'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah,
We'll
marry
see you.
everything.
See you, buddy.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Kristin Brown, you got any summary for us? Any summation of today's activities?
You know, in the spirit of the holidays, because as we decided, you can still say holiday things.
Right.
And, you know, until the Super Bowl's done, we keep the lights up.
Mhm.
I love the story about the T-shirts. Y'all probably know about them, but they say overdog. Did y'all hear this story? They asked Bo how he feels about being the underdog all the time. And he said, we're overdogs. So they made these T-shirts as a fundraiser. And so far they've raised $25,000 for the Denver rescue mission. So why not Bronco country go, you know, you're Bo leaving. And when I help some people, get yourself a T-shirt, wear your T-shirt all around town for the next 2 weeks. Show the Broncos when you run into them at dinners and malls and wherever else that you are Bo leaving and we are the overdogs going all the way to San Francisco and feed some people at the Denver Rescue Mission.
Wow. Well,
Yes.
I think we leave it on that inspiring high note. Thank you, Kristin Brown. So, yes, a Bronco win, Broncos #1 AFC seed, a historic night for the Broncos organization and for this football team. Looking forward to the playoffs. Thanks for tuning in.
So excited.
Yes, and we'll do another one of these after the Broncos' first playoff game. We'll be reporting excited about what's happened, what's going on, what we thought, what we think, and what's going to happen in the future. We'll see you guys soon.
Maybe we could do a pre
No, of course we
after we know who they're going to play. That'd be exciting. Who's into that? I'm into that.
All right.
Overdogs.
We'll see you. Check out Guerilla Sports. It'll all be there.
Yes. Happy New Year.
See you.